Every empire loves order. Ancient Egypt had order, Rome had order, colonial regimes had order, apartheid South Africa had order. In fact, order is one of the first things power creates because order stabilizes control. And that's why Scripture is far more suspicious of order than most Jesus followers are. Order is not a moral achievement. Most often, it's a tool, and tools always serve someone. When many Christians hear the phrase law and order, it sounds almost biblical because, well, God gives commands, Paul talks about governing authorities, rules matter. But here's the historical piece that we often skip. Law and order did not become a moral rallying cry in Scripture. It became one in moments of social disruption. In the Roman Empire, law was praised not because it was just, but because it kept peace for Rome. Roman law protected property, hierarchy, imperial stability, even when it crushed the poor, enslaved millions, and executed dissidents. Fast forward to the United States, law and order became a dominant political and moral slogan in the mid-20th century, especially during the Civil Rights Movement. As segregation was challenged and protests disrupted the status quo, law and order language emerged as a way to oppose change without openly defending injustice. It kind of sounds neutral, reasonable, responsible. But what it often meant was stop disrupting a system that already works for us. That history matters because slogans do not arrive empty, they carry memory. When we turn to Scripture, something startling happens. The prophets almost never complain about disorder, they complain about orderly injustice. Isaiah mocks courts that follow procedure while denying justice to the poor. Amos condemns worship services held alongside economic exploitation. Micah declares that God is not impressed by religious observance that's divorced from fairness. God's anger is not directed at chaos. It's directed at systems that work smoothly while people are crushed. And this is a crucial distinction because society can be lawful and deeply unjust at the same time. Jesus stands squarely in this prophetic tradition, and he makes religious authorities really ticked off by doing so. He heals on the Sabbath. He touches the unclean. He eats with the wrong people. He refuses to respect boundaries designed to protect purity and power. Jesus does not reject the law because it's meaningless. He exposes what happens when the law becomes detached from mercy. Order in those moments becomes violent. The Sabbath, meant to give life, becomes a weapon. Purity laws meant to protect our community becomes tools of exclusion. Jesus disrupts not because he loves chaos, but because he loves people more than he loves systems. Law and order rhetoric often feels biblical because it appeals to stability, predictability, and control, especially in times of fear. But Scripture consistently asks a different question. And the question is not, are the rules being enforced, but who benefits from those rules and who is harmed? Because order always serves someone. And when Christians defend order without interrogating who it protects, they're not being neutral, they are taking a side. Biblical Christianity refuses the false choice between chaos and control. It does not say no law. But it also never says order at all costs. Instead, it demands law shaped by mercy, authority accountable to justice, order that serves life rather than protects power. This is why the prophets were considered dangerous. This is why Jesus was executed, not for causing chaos, but for threatening an unjust order. So here's the question that Scripture presses on us. When we hear law and order, do we instinctively ask how to protect stability or how to protect people? Because when Christians defend order more passionately than fairness, they are not standing with the prophets. They're not standing with Jesus. They are standing with empire. And Scripture is painfully clear about how that story ends.